What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. Today I've got for you some more crazy entitled parent stories, starting with this one, in which an entitled mum reads the diary of her own daughter behind her back. Mum uses my locked private diary and only true safe space as her daily reading material. When I was a preteen, my mum gifted me a diary with a tiny lock and keys. I hid the keys, I taped them in hidden places, and began using it almost immediately. I was a bookworm and loved reading and writing. I was also quite neglected as a child, so my diary was the only place I could express myself and feel heard. I'd read my last entries, and that allowed me to reflect on my own thoughts and actions and learn from past situations. It was honestly really great for my mental health. For a time, my mood and mental health improved. Time passed. I couldn't tell you how long, probably a few months. Shortly after, I wrote an entry talking about my first wet dream. A few seconds of feet peeking out of bed sheets, nothing truly NSFW. My mum got furious at me and confronted me full on screaming. She sat me in the living room as she towered over me, screaming at my face, asking me if I thought this was normal, that I was having depraved thoughts no child my age should have. For a preteen? Really? It was actually pretty normal. That I promised no sex before marriage when I was 5 years old, and that this was clearly going against my own word. I tried to defend myself at first and protest, not understanding how she even knew about it, but she took out the unlocked diary as proof of my depravity, and my attempts at defending myself, it was just a dream, just fueled her anger more. I sat there silently crying, answering quietly whatever she wanted me to say to whatever she asked, because nothing else would stop her escalation of screaming. I felt betrayed. My locked diary was my only safe place in that home. I was careful with what I wrote in my diary after that incident and set a few tests to check if I was still having my locked diary read without my knowledge or consent. I did this by writing about innocuous incidents in a way that could have sounded like it was more than it was, knowing it would prompt questions out of curiosity. Every time. It didn't take more than 2 days for the questions to come. It turns out she'd hunt for my diary's keys and read it regularly. Needless to say, I stopped using my diary. My only breathing space had been turned against me. I significantly closed myself off from everyone. I felt if even my diary could betray me, then people even less. It was hard not writing. I no longer had an outlet for emotional or psychological relief, but I really couldn't trust anything anymore. After a week or two without any new entries, Mum asked why I had stopped using my diary. If I had dared, I'd have rolled my eyes and asked, "Why do you think?" But I knew better than to attract attention to myself, and I simply said I had lost interest in such a thing. Oh wow, that is a really sad story, to be honest. I just don't really understand why your mum would get you something like that, a personal diary that has a lock and key on it, so it's clearly just for you to use. Then you go ahead and use it and she just abuses the entire point of the whole thing. I mean, unless that was genuinely her intention in the first place, to kind of go behind your back on purpose, giving you a private outlet for you to go and write down your innermost thoughts and feelings. And in reality, she knew she was just going to go and read it. Was that really the idea? If so, then this story has become even more messed up than I thought, and your mum is clearly even more entitled and horrible than I presumed. What do you reckon, guys? Do you reckon that was the play all along? The more I think about it, the more I sadly think that might have been the case. I guess this story just proves that many things in life that you think are private and protected aren't really, and that is the same online too. But Dashlane, the kind sponsor of today's video, can help you out with that. Dashlane is the easiest way to keep yourself safe and secure online. Now more than ever, it is so important that you utilize their service. With quarantine, social distancing, and isolation still happening all over the world, we are using the internet more than ever right now, and Dashlane offers you an easy way to stay safe at all times online. Dashlane offers a safe, simple, and affordable way to store and fill your password and personal information. Ranging from credit cards to financial info, literally anything you need, saving you time online by autofilling everything. Their autofill makes logging into any website incredibly safe and easy. Just click once to log in and Dashlane will do the rest, even creating a secure password that you will never have to remember if you like. Their VPN service can encrypt your data at the push of a button, keeping you secure. And it also allows you to choose any country you would would like to virtually be in, so you can access content from across the world which would otherwise be blocked on sites like Netflix. To put it simply, Dashlane works on everything, everywhere. So, if that sounds helpful to you, you can download Dashlane on your first device for free today by going to www.dashlane.com/Redditor. Then, if you want to upgrade to premium to use Dashlane across all of your devices, you can use my promo code Redditor to get a discount off your first year. Guys, as I always say, the more you support Dashlane, the more it will support me. They've been around on my channel, helping me out for almost 2 years now. They are so loyal, so let's repay a little bit of that faith. Go down to the description, the pinned comment, you'll find the link. Just give it a click for me. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. I use it every single day seamlessly in the background. And yeah, it makes my life easier, so it will make your life easier too. Go and give it a try. And with that all being said, let's get into our second story. Entitled mum lets her kid play on the escalator, then yells at me when I yell at her brats. Now, to start off, I have irrational fears, and some of them even I think are absolutely stupid, but that doesn't change my completely ridiculous reaction to these things. Whales, big tall clouds that look like tidal waves, balloons, and escalators. When I was about 5, I used to jump onto and off escalators for fear of getting eaten by the spiky teeth at the end. My dad, who, let's be honest, was only afraid of the price of a pint, thought as funny as this was, it had to stop. So we waited at the bottom and talked about how it worked until I thought I could do it without the hop. Stepped on fine, but alas, at the end, my raggy shoelace got caught and I absolutely panicked my wee brains out. He didn't try again, and I've been merrily hopping on and off for the last 20-something years. Today in the mall, I had grabbed some very light paint-by-numbers kits. I'm a labourer/operator by trade, and of course, I've gone and pinched a nerve in my lower back. So a few days off work is coming, and I will not stare at the wall the whole time. It hurts bad enough that my partner Jay was holding my handbag, along with the heavier items we'd bought. The entire ride after my half hop grown onto the escalator, there was this kid, about 7 to 8, running up and down, darting around people, just playing silly buggers. I ignored it as best I could until we came to the bottom, where the kid was just standing there, staring at the ground, so feet half on, half off the escalator. I said, "Excuse me," quietly, "Excuse me," loudly, and finally, "Oi kid, move it." By this time, I'm mildly panicking, backing up as fast as my useless back will allow, with Jay trying his best to get out of the way and take the box out of my hands. The kid just looks at me and doesn't move, so I end up half hopping past him. His mother is at the end of the escalator and just starts laying into me. How dare I yell at her precious baby? He wasn't doing anything. Now, I'm not the nicest person at the best of times, and I was in nothing but pain, as anyone with a pinched nerve can attest to. So I snapped and told her an escalator is not a freaking toy. Her kid is blocking the path to not only me, but elderly people, and she had no right telling me what to do if she couldn't even control a child. All of a sudden, the security guy was there. I was thinking a mix between, oh no, and how the F did he get here so quick? It turns out he had already spoken to the entitled mum about letting her kid run amok in the mall, and this was the final straw. Get your kid and get out. The look on her face was like someone had stuffed a lemon full of razor blades, then shoved it right where the sun doesn't shine. She started yelling at him instead of me, thank God, and the security guy gave me the "you can go" wave. We could still hear her yelling when we walked out the doors a good 200 meters away. So, not super dramatic, but by God, lady, set a better example. Alright, interesting story again. Now, first of all, I want to talk about it from the kid's perspective. I don't think he, personally, was doing anything wrong. I mean, if your mum is saying to you that what you're doing is fine, then you're going to think it's fine. You're just having fun, you know? Me and my sister, we used to go to malls or shopping centers a decent amount of time, I guess, with our family. And when we were bored, we would always, you know, run up and down escalators and have a good time. It sounds boring now, but it was fun back in the day. Trust me, I'm not weird. Anyway, the only difference being, if there was someone coming, or, you know, anyone close to us even, you'd get out of the way, you'd stop the game immediately, you'd let them go on about their day. You wouldn't want to interfere with, like, you know, anyone, any adult, any person, definitely not an elderly person, or someone that could be disabled, you know, or have some sort of pain. Just get out of their way. So that is where I think that not this kid went wrong, but his mum went wrong in not telling the kid, you know, have your games, you know, enjoy yourself, but don't get in people's way. So I don't think it's anything to do with the kid being, troublesome in this situation. I think it's just the mum who's not told her kid what to do, really. As for OP, you could say, yeah, it's a bit weird that, you have to hop off of escalators, and why couldn't you just go around the kid and walk off? But then, as OP says, she could easily have been disabled or elderly, or it could be another person like that who physically couldn't do those things. So it doesn't really matter why someone is asking the kid to move. The kid isn't using the escalator properly, so yes, he should move. So I think OP, completely fair to say, get out the way after the kid didn't move, especially given you have reason to not get off escalators normally, I guess. But yeah, overall, I just want to pretty much say that this is definitely the mum's fault. The mum is to blame here, pretty much 100%. The kid, 5%. OP, 0%. But yeah, the mum, sort yourself out. Now moving on to our final post, entitled Old Man Tries to Police My Language. So, I've worked in customer service for years and have a few fun stories about entitled people, as well as people that remind you of the brainless jellyfish meme. So back in 2019, I missed that pre-COVID life, myself, my wife, and my younger sister all go out to my favourite pizza joint, because I'd had a rough couple of days dealing with the Karens in the world, and food I like is usually a great pick-me-up. Now, I'm a very professional person at work, so much so that when my co-workers see me out of the office, they're a little surprised, because I'm quite different. I cuss like a sailor, and I have zero problems telling people that bother me to get bent. So, here we are, local pizza joint on a Friday evening. The place is a zoo. You can't hear your friends talk to you from across the table, it's so loud. The three of us just got ourselves built, and they were going in the oven. This place does the build your own personal pizza thing. We are sitting at a table with a couple of beers. Our ages range from the late 20s to early 30s. As adults do, a few jokes are swapped, most of them in bad taste because we have terrible sense of humour. Honestly, I don't even remember what the joke was. I just remember both my wife and sister making a comment that they didn't know me, which I responded, "Whatever, your female dogs love me." Loud enough that the people at my table could hear me, but not so loud that you'd hear it anything more than a few feet from me, because of the chaos of a busy pizza place. In comes the old man. Apparently, he had been refilling his soda right behind me. He heard me and decided that the hill he wanted to, and almost did, die on that day was setting me straight in public about my language. The old man, who had moved to the front edge of our table, said, "You know you shouldn't say that." "Excuse me?" "Cursing. You shouldn't curse in public where children might hear you." There were no children on that half of the shop. "Not my frickin' problem." "Oh, so now you're gonna be immature about it? Are you even old enough to be drinking those beers?" "Ah, well, I at least am mature enough to mind my own frickin' business." "And what kind of example are you setting for this young lady here?" He gestured to my sister, at which point she barked out a laugh. "Oh, I'm setting a shining frickin' example of how to mind my frickin' business and not harass other people in a restaurant." "You need to stop. What if you teach some kids this?" Again, not my freaking problem. They're gonna hear this at some point, and any parent worth their freaking spit knows this and has already started teaching their kids when it is and isn't appropriate to use some words. Which I see your parents didn't do. You must be some kind of jobless leech, taking money from these two ladies because you couldn't get a job with the way you speak. No sir, I am very much so gainfully employed. I deal with enough BS at work and like to frickin' relax when I'm not dealing with people such as yourself whose heads are so far up their own butts that they feel they see daylight. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have this lovely beer to drink, so you can F off and have a nice day. Seeing that he wasn't getting nowhere with his holier-than-thou speech with me, he turned red in the face and commented to my sister that if she wasn't careful around me, I'd turn her into a garish, now that's a word that I can't say, at which point my wife stabbed me in the leg, literally with a plastic spork, no damage taken, to keep my attention so I would not stand up and beat this man with his own cane. Her ability to keep me somewhat level-headed was rewarded because a few minutes later, the owner of the place stopped by our table. He apologized that we had had to deal with that. Apparently, this guy had been coming in over the last few weeks and creating problems with other people. He got banned and we got a free pitcher of beer. Never saw the old guy again. And there we go. I mean, I kind of get where this old man is coming from slightly. If you're around loads of kids and you know it's the middle of the day and you know you're just swearing so loudly, unnecessarily, then yeah, maybe don't do that. But that just wasn't happening at all in this situation, was it? I mean, you literally had a hard day's work or a hard week's work or whatever. You come out in the night to a nice restaurant where it's so busy, loads of noise going on. Just do whatever you want. I mean, yes, don't scream out swear words, but if it's just a general conversation, you're having a good time, having a few pints and just laughing, then say whatever you want. As long as there are no kids around that are going to take offense to it, yeah, I don't see any problem with that at all, personally. I think it's kind of what I'd do in that situation as well, if I'm being honest. I don't understand why this old man was getting involved at all. It's got nothing to do with him. I mean, maybe if he had a child there who was getting annoyed by or was close to the swearing, then you could get involved. But, you know, maybe just wait for a parent of a child who was in that pizza shop who was getting annoyed with the swearing to come over. Don't do it yourself when it's just not your business. That's my, point of view on this, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, though, this old man needs to spend or needs to kind of think of a better way to spend his time. Because doing this over and over again at the same pizza shop, just annoying the customers, what are you really gaining from that, old boy? That's my question to him. So if you're watching right now, mate, get down in the comments below and let me know what you're gaining, because I am all ears. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Entitled Parents. I really hope you have enjoyed it. Again, a massive thank you to Dashlane for sponsoring this video. Please go down into the description or the pinned comment below and click on the link. That's all you got to do. It's completely free, the product. Install it. You know, it's one of those where you just install it once and forget it is even there. It makes your life that easy. And also, it massively benefits me and my channel going forward. And then want to sponsor more videos if you guys install it. So if you're still watching now and you haven't clicked on the link, just go and click it for me. I really appreciate it, and I love you. And yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow with a brand new video.